Reign of Fire begins by showing a boy named Quinn Abercromby walking to a drilling construction site in the city of London. Quinn then took the elevator to the underground to meet his mother, Karen. When the two met, a male employee informed Karen that there was a problem in the tunnel, where he accidentally found another tunnel while drilling. Because the tunnel had a small hole, the man finally asked Quinn for help to enter and check the situation in the tunnel. Arriving in the tunnel, Quinn saw a wall that moved on its own. At the same time, there was a large burst of fire, and it turned out that the fire came from a dragon. Quinn immediately ran out of the tunnel and told his mother that a big creature was in the tunnel. In a panic, Karen took him up the elevator to leave the place. Unfortunately, at the same time, the dragon spewed its fire again, causing the workers below to burn, and even Karen was crushed to death by the elevator. After that, the dragon fled through the large hole, flapping its wings to fly. Years later, the world begins to crumble as various corners of the world have been ruled by dragons, whose population has soared to millions. The dragons turned out to have lived from the time of the dinosaurs, making them extinct. After the dragons ran out of food, they decided to meditate in various caves or underground, but they will rise again to destroy humanity. There were two choices for humans who managed to survive: hide but die slowly, or advance to face the dragons and become the most dominant race on Earth. In 2020, the world seemed to have fallen apart. But there are still humans who can survive, including Quinn, who has grown into a man and becomes the group leader in an abandoned castle. While digging a bunker, one of the men tells Quinn that his male member, Eddie, has gone to harvest coffee cherries. Quinn immediately left the bunker to meet Eddie, who was leaving. He strictly forbids him from going to the fields, because it can trigger the arrival of a dragon that will kill many other members. Eddie accepts Quinn's advice but explains that his children are starting to feel hungry. Because there was no response from Quinn, Eddie chose to leave. In the evening, Quinn and his male friend Creedy entertained the children by making a mini theater. After the event was over, the children went to sleep in their respective places. At the same time, Eddie and several others decided to go to the field secretly in a jeep. Shortly after Eddie's departure, a warning signal sounded. Quinn received news that Eddie and several others had gone to the fields. Therefore, Quinn and several others rushed to catch up with Eddie and his friends. On the other hand, Eddie and his friends have arrived at the field. They immediately ate the coffee cherries until something strange in the sky happened. And sure enough, there was a dragon that appeared and flew towards them, spitting out a fire so great that the fields burned. While they were running away, there was a man who was swallowed by the dragon. When Eddie and his friends are trapped in the middle of a burning field, Quinn appears wearing an aluminum suit. They were immediately evacuated and directed to get into a protective truck. But unfortunately, when they were about to get into the truck, the dragon stopped them and killed Eddie's son, Devon, with a blast of fire. After that, the dragon left them and chose to burn the fields so humans would not have food. Arriving at the castle, Quinn and his friends discuss the death of Eddie's son, but Quinn doesn't blame Eddie entirely because it's only natural as a father not to want his children to starve. On the other hand, the tower supervisors saw a group of tanks entering their territory. One of the supervisors told Quinn about it. Hearing this, he immediately told everyone to take their respective weapons and put up a combat-ready position. Not long after, the group of tanks stopped in front of their castle. One of the men named Denton Van Zandt came out of the tank. He said that he wanted to meet their leader. Quinn immediately went downstairs to meet him. After that, Denton explains that he and his team are national soldiers who have a mission to kill the dragons. He admits that his team has suffered a huge loss and urgently needs a place to stay. Quinn emphatically said he would not allow them to stop at his place. Denton convinced him that he was very understanding about the weaknesses of the dragons, that he and his team even several times managed to kill dragons, and showed him a dragon tooth they had killed. Quinn was amazed by their team's strength, finally allowing them to stay there temporarily. Denton then introduces Quinn, Eddie, and Creedy to his team, their female pilot named Alex Jensen, the USA Cavalry, and the other 3 men who are dragon feeders, where they will jump from the helicopter and catch the dragon using a net. It amazed Quinn because it had been decades since he had seen a helicopter or fighter plane. Afterward, while Quinn was cooking in the kitchen, Alex approached him. She asks about his reasons for keeping so many children in the castle. He replied that he and his friends found the children from the ruins of the building while their parents had died from a dragon attack. Feeling pity, he made them all his foster children. At the same time, the tower supervisor received a signal from an eagle, indicating the presence of a dragon around the castle. After that, they went out to ensure it, and sure enough, a dragon figure appeared from behind the hill. Denton immediately ordered Alex to chase the dragon by helicopter. He also sent 3 riders to stick the mapping stick on the device, which will be the location of the dragon capture location. Unfortunately, the dragon attacked the 3rd rider, causing Alex's helicopter to fly aimlessly. Quinn, who had only been observing their work, immediately rode a horse to the 3rd rider's location. Arriving there, Quinn plugged the rider's stick so that Alex could find the right direction. At the same time, the dragon attacked their helicopter, so the 3 dragon feeders decided to jump off the plane. Unfortunately, they failed to catch the dragon because their nets did not fully cover the dragon's body. One of the feeder men even fell to the ground, and another man was sprayed dead by a dragon. On the other hand, Quinn informed Denton that he had replaced the 3rd rider by riding. Hearing this, he asked him to draw the dragon's attention towards Denton, who was ready with his weapon. Without thinking, Quinn went to the castle. Suddenly, the dragon saw him and chased after him. When the dragon was approaching, Denton immediately fired a missile at it, making it fall to the ground and die instantly. With the dragon killed, Quinn members happily celebrate a party at the castle. But seeing this, Denton felt angry because they were judged not to appreciate the sacrifice of his team who died during the capture of the dragon. After that, Quinn approached Denton, who was burning the bodies of the 2 members outside. Denton expressed his desire to lead Quinn's group to strengthen his army. Alex and Denton tell Quinn that the dragon they killed earlier was a female dragon, and they could annihilate thousands of dragons just by killing one male dragon. Because dragons are like fish, where one male can fertilize thousands of eggs. So Alex theorized if they could kill one male dragon, then the dragon population would automatically disappear slowly. In addition, Denton tells Quinn that he is going to London to kill the male dragon. He hopes that Quinn and his entire army can join him. Unexpectedly, Quinn refused because he feared the attack would only bring more dragons to his castle. Hearing Quinn's refusal, Denton immediately left. Meanwhile, Alex asks Quinn why he refuses to help Denton. He explained that he was still haunted by events in the past that killed his mother. The following day, without Quinn's permission, Denton turned out to have gathered Quinn's troops to go to London, including Eddie. Shortly afterward, Quinn came and immediately hit Denton because he felt Denton's actions were dangerous. As a result, the 2 of them fought until Denton and his team finally left them to go to London. When Quinn cleaned his wounds in the castle, a man named Jared wanted to join Denton's army. Of course, Quinn forbade it because, in a few years, he would make Jared the group leader. Unfortunately, Jared persisted and went after Denton. Moments later, Quinn purposely went to the fields to pick up the remains of the coffee cherries that were still edible. But unexpectedly, Jared suddenly appeared because he had undone his intention to go to London. Apart from that, he regretted what he had said to Quinn earlier. That evening, Denton's troops arrived in London. They were stopped because of the city's ruins that covered their path. Denton told Alex to find another alternative way by using a helicopter. But at the same time, the figure of a male dragon emerged from the thick fog. Therefore, Denton ordered his troops to get ready. Unfortunately, the dragon had already spit out its fire, which burnt most of his troops. In that incident, only Denton and 3 other people survived. After the male dragon left, Alex landed her helicopter. She meets Denton, who seems to regret his actions for bringing his team there. He then realized that the dragon must fly towards the castle, so Denton and the remaining team went to the castle. Apparently, the male dragon had arrived first at the castle and set fire to the castle. Quinn, who had just arrived at the castle, immediately went inside to evacuate everyone to a safe place. Unfortunately, there were still 65 more people trapped in the next room. Quinn was desperate to enter the room, but Creedy stopped him, convinced him he was the only one who went there. When Creedy started to enter the next room, suddenly the dragon came back again and spit fire at him. But he chose to sacrifice himself and closed the door so that he was the only one who was burned. Shortly afterward, Denton and his team came to the castle to help Quinn. They went out of the castle and found that everything had collapsed. Quinn, Alex, and Denton then made preparations using the few remaining weapons. At that time, Quinn decided to go to London and kill the male dragon because it had killed many people in the castle. He entrusted the surviving children to Jared when they were about to leave for London. Then the 3 of them went to London by helicopter. Arriving in London, they landed by the river and hid behind concrete steps to survey the area, where they saw hundreds of female dragons flying in the sky. At the same time, a male dragon appeared and suddenly ate one of the female dragons. Quinn, who has memorized urban roads, led Denton and Alex to show the way. They entered a tunnel where the tunnel was a former construction site where the male dragon appeared. Before carrying out his action, Denton set a strategy by making a magnesium C4 type arrow, which could explode when hit by hot temperatures. He gives the arrow to Quinn while Alex is assigned to lure the dragon. The 3 then moved into an abandoned bus. When the male dragon appeared, Quinn and Denton ran in different directions. The male dragon saw Quinn and tried to catch him. Luckily, he managed to escape, but unfortunately, his magnesium arrow fell. On the other hand, Denton had arrived at the top of the chimney, and he signaled Alex to run towards the chimney. Alex immediately followed Denton's direction to run towards the chimney. However, the dragon was chasing her. As she was almost there, Denton shouted for the dragon, which made the dragon turn and fly towards him. After that, he took the opportunity to shoot the arrow into the male dragon's mouth. But unfortunately, the arrow exploded before entering the dragon's mouth. Denton then jumped with an axe to kill the dragon. Unfortunately, what he did was in vain because the dragon swallowed him instead. Now, only Alex and Quinn are left to become the dragon's target. They hide behind the collapsed buildings, and Alex accidentally sees Quinn's arrows falling around them. Seeing this, Quinn immediately ran to take the arrow while Alex distracted the male dragon. After getting the magnesium arrow, Quinn again faces the male dragon. As soon as the male dragon opened its mouth, he shot the magnesium arrow at the dragon's mouth and managed to blow up the dragon. In the end, Quinn and Alex feel happy because they can kill the male dragon, which will be the beginning of the end of the dragon population. A few months later, Quinn and Alex are working on a communications tower. Meanwhile, Jared, who had replaced Quinn's position, came to see how he was. Quinn told Jared that he would kill all the dragons if they appeared before him. The moral that can be learned from this movie is, don't be in a hurry to do something, because it will be detrimental. Better to do it slowly, but get the things done.